Good morning, South Anchorage High School. I'm Lee Butterfield. I am your host. This is The Den. It is Tuesday, April something or other, and really, frankly, does it even matter? No, I'm joking. I think it's the 14th, and we are super excited because yesterday your elective started. I'm sure you're all very excited about that. I am as well. I've already seen a few people get stuff done, which is pretty amazing. We got a short show for you today, but we wanted to get some information out to you because things have changed, and that's how it's going. So that is our update today. Our update's going to be to go to the crew, ask the crew how electives have rolled out, how our other classes are doing, see how things are going. So we're going to take it straight to the crew and welcome. Remember, if you have questions, get them in at southvote.com, and you can also put your questions into the live chat over there. Mr. Pernage is monitoring, and he will let us know if anything comes up. He just waved at you, but you can't see him because he's not watching you, knowing that I have all the power to show you what I wish to show you. Unfathomable cosmic power. Itty bitty living space. All right, there we go. Now, crew, tell me, electives started yesterday. How is it going? How are classes in general going? How are you feeling? What are you doing in order to stay sane? I know that Bria has decided to start raising mucous membranes, so let me hear it.
It's been good. Electives are pretty chill. This is one of my electives, so it's fun. I'm making kombucha to stay sane, which is really fun. All my classes are going pretty good. I've found a good routine that keeps me like steady in all my classes, and it keeps me not getting sidetracked and just doing nothing all day. So doing school, doing electives, making kombucha.
Making kombucha. So you've found that creating and participating in kind of new hobbies, and especially ones that take your attention, you got to raise it. It's a child. You got to change its, vessel and then drink its waste products and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I've always wanted to do it. I just never really had enough time to be able to stay home and monitor it with like going to school and going to activities. So this has been a really good time that I could do my school and then take a brain break and go check on it or do other stuff, and then I'm focused and I can come back and do my school. So it's really worked out nice.
So I'm curious, what exactly kind of monitoring does a giant bag of fungus need?
Well, you just have to check on it and make sure it doesn't get black spots on it because then it dies. And so it is like alive cultures. And so they sent it to me in a little package. So then the first couple days, I just have to make sure that it likes the formula I put it in and that it's like eating it to get its food, because it eats the sugar that you put into it. So then it eats the sugar and then it lets out the probiotics that makes the drink itself. So you just have to make sure that it's eating enough sugar. And if it turns black, it's not getting sugar and then it dies. And then you have to remove it right away so you don't contaminate the brew.
Not Toby.
That's yeah, we don't want Toby to die. And
I know,
just to let everyone out there know, in the view of this pirate, if you're making kombucha, you must fear the black spot. Okay, moving over. Clara, how are things going with you?
Pretty good. I've decided to finish my regular classes. I have U.S. history that I was taking online before this even started, and econ. I'm gonna finish those hopefully in the next 2 weeks, and then I'll work on my AP classes as they get closer to the actual AP test date. It's just kind of the classes that I don't really have hard deadlines for. That's kind of messing me up because I'm not sure exactly at what pace to work on the stuff, but overall, I think I'm about a week ahead.
A week ahead?
Not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a teacher that, because it's a weird space to walk as a teacher a little bit, do we give you hard deadlines even though we know everything's due at the end of the year, but then how do we grade it if people are waiting till the end of the year? And it's just really interesting give and take. So as a student, what do you do in those spaces where there aren't those kind of guiding pacing deadlines? What's your strategy?
I think I've just been kind of like, if I feel like I have the mental space to do 3 hours of AP chemistry review, that's what I'll do. But if I'm not in that mental space, then I'll just work on econ.
So you're binge learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Binge learning is apparently working for you. That's good.
Yeah.
And then those spaces where you do have those kind of deadlines, which are those kind of guidance on pacing, that helps you kind of schedule out what you need to do.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
And have you started your elective work outside of course, being on the den and working on your animal grooming?
I have not started my elective work. I had my first Zoom for my German class yesterday, and it's actually more work than we would have gotten in school, um, which is kind of rough. But I don't think it's going to be too hard. And then for the den, I have not started. Actually, I know I have. I watched a movie on Saturday.
Did you? That's
Um,
fantastic. What movie did you watch?
I watched Mad Max.
Mad Max. Now that is fantastic. Wonderful film. Did you watch it with family?
I did.
That's good. Did they enjoy it?
I think so. My dad fell asleep, but
And then he enjoyed it. Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right. So question-wise, it's been pretty easy. We're going to move over to Dr. Allman. Welcome, Dr. Allman. As always, good to see you. The questions really were around about kind of general idea. And so I think, Claire, did you want to throw that in there, or what the questions were? Do you want me to toss that over to Mr. Pernage?
I've actually looked at them, but I think most of the questions were about getting into the school to pick up stuff from lockers.
So it's that same kind of question. When do we get in the building? When do we get our stuff? When do we return the stuff that we have?
Yeah, I think that's the question aside from graduation right now. And I know that prior to the governor's announcement that we wouldn't return to school, there wasn't a lot of movement in that direction, because the thought was if we are allowed to go back, then that can naturally take place. But now that we're not going to return, at least this school year, that is going to be moved way up the priority list. I know that at the district level, they wanted to make sure to get technology out to high school students, middle school students, and elementary school students, so that they could access curriculum. And this week is tech distribution to elementary school students. And so that's taking most of the focus of the logistics teams at the district. And then the next priority after that will be figuring out how we're going to get students' possessions back. I know that there's a real desire to get instruments in particular, and other things, textbooks, personal belongings, wallets, and everything on that continuum. I would say to at least our community that Mr. Stone and the security team developed a plan where we think we can probably get everything out of lockers and get it safely handed off to families kind of by appointment, like we did with the technology handoff. But we are still waiting on the sort of master plan at the district level to be able to execute that. So I guess I would say everyone just needs to be a little more patient. I know that there's some urgency there, but there is a plan in place, and we're just waiting to be able to execute it at this point.
Okay, so we are in a hold with hope position right now, and that's kind of where we're going to stay until we hear new information, is kind of what I'm hearing from you. And so we will keep letting folks know, and those of you way out there in the world, you can let folks know when you hear people, because inevitably on the social medias and the world pipey thing, somebody's complaining somewhere and asking these questions. Now you have the information. You can pass it on. Say, we're in a hold with hope. We got to get through this elementary tech handoff, and then we'll get more information as we go forward. And so that's kind of been the theme as we go through it, but there's a light. It seems like there's a light. It's a long tunnel, but there's a light. All right, moving back in. I'm pretty sure we have some questions coming in on the live chat, so I'm going to hand this back over to Mr. Pernage. Welcome, Mr. Pernage.
How's it going? So there are actually quite a bit today. So will juniors get yearbooks?
Yeah, everyone who ordered a yearbook will get it eventually. The plan there is that all large-scale shipments to schools have been diverted to the ASD warehouse where they're holding all of those shipments. And then this also relates just a little bit to when do we get back into buildings to get personal belongings. But the thought is that we'll have those all transferred to South High School at some point. And at some point, we'll be allowed to have a small collection of individuals who can package those books and figure out a way to get them out for delivery. And that's going to be a concern at every single high school. But the short answer is yes, you'll get your yearbook eventually. So before the end of the year, undoubtedly.
When we say year
So-
now, are we talking before the end of the school year, before the end of the calendar year?
I think the targeted would be before May 21st.
Cool. Thank
Before
you.
that original last day for the school year.
Cool. Thank you.
So there's a suggestion that possibly, since there's no prom or anything, that they're asking if seniors could maybe join next year's prom if they're still in the area, to give them that opportunity. So that's just out there.
Yeah, I don't think that anything is necessarily off the table at this point. I know that one of the ideas that had been shared, even in terms of graduation, is could we do some sort of, honorarium for 2020 grads at the 2021 graduation if they were back. And I think that same thinking applies to different events that happen during the spring at school. And like everything else, I don't have a specific answer, but as we figure out what we're going to do about those big events, at least the rest of this year, then I think it will help us make decisions the following year. But I think it's a possibility, certainly.
There's questions about the SAT, ACT for juniors being able to take it before they start doing applications. I don't think we had the answers to those, but
Yeah, I would want to defer to counselors on that. It's my understanding, just with the widespread cancellation of standardized testing and the huge shift in AP testing, that current students, I guess, applying to college, there's going to be some leniency on those, even providing those scores because they weren't able to take it that kind of last time. And I would say that same type of leniency will probably apply to juniors, although if you have the opportunity to take it in the fall before you would apply even for early admission late during first semester, I would hope that we're back to normal at least by late fall and you're able to take it in person. If not, inevitably there's going to have to be some adjustments so that we can move forward.
And
There are a lot of schools that are becoming test optional for the 2021-2022 school year. Just from emails I've gotten from the schools, they don't take your tests when you apply.
so this might work out in some people's favor.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for everybody out there to remember that it's not just South going through this. It's not just Anchorage. It's not just Alaska. The whole world is dealing with this right now, and that means that I think we should all take a little bit of comfort that those people in those positions that usually want you to take that test or usually want you to do this or usually want you to do that, there's enough of us, kind of like, Aunt Z, there's enough of us where if those grasshoppers push too hard, we ants are going to just be like, no, that's not how this is going to work. And so take a little bit of comfort in that, is that we're all in this together and we're all experiencing the same way. So there's going to be give and take at all levels of bureaucracy and power.
Well, and I would say for those juniors and seniors right now, the test is life right now. I mean, if you can demonstrate to a university or a trade or the military or wherever you're headed that you're able to get through this when it was unexpected and still learn and progress, I mean, I honestly think that that's a better marker of your ability to be successful after high school than sitting for a 3 to 4 hour test is.
Awesome. Cool. You seen anything else in there?
So, just the last thing is a question about where is Corinne?
Corinne didn't show up for work today. We don't know where she is.
Yep.
The hope
Corinne,
is
you are
that
missed.
she's watching and feeling bad, but we miss her. We hope she's doing well. We know she's been super busy helping the community through a lot of other stream work that she's doing right now. So my guess is she's probably pretty exhausted, but we will definitely check in on Corinne and figure out what's going on. So we appreciate your concern, and so will she. I guarantee she'll appreciate your concern. Anything else?
Not on there.
All right, folks, thank you for joining us again today. It's a short one today, and we dig that you are here with us to share it. Keep safe, keep clean. Remember that while things, beautiful foggy day this morning, if you really think about it, if life was normal, you would have woken up this morning and said, man, I hope they cancel school. See, now they didn't have to. It's already been taken care of. So get out there, go for a walk. Make sure you're keeping your distance on your walk. Enjoy the outdoors a little bit and do your homework. do your elective classes. If you're one of my construction students, be in class today, and
One of my
we'll talk
engineering
about it.
students.
Or Pernage's, the invisible Pernage voice engineering students apparently as well. So thanks again. Join us on Thursday. We hope to have some more folks in here to hang out with you and some more stuff to entertain you, but we're going to keep it short because we know you guys got a lot to do. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Keep your paws clean and your claws sharp, Wolverines.